For joining us today. I'm Councilmember John Pacheco. I represent the 5th District, which is I think south of 62 is where the biggest chunk is. I have Bloomington, Richfield, half of Edina, if not almost all of it, and then a little bit Fort Snelling. So it's all heading south there, just for your understanding. And we do have a number of people who do watch this. So when you do speak, please announce who you are and your role, or just particularly who you are, so we can move in there. At this point, we have sent out the agenda here. We're going to continue on as we have in the past, and that is by reading the Dakota Land, Water, and People Acknowledgement. And I'll actually, Tori, would you like to do this today, or I can jump in myself?
Sure, I can read the acknowledgement for you. No problem. The Metropolitan Council acknowledges that the land we currently call Minnesota, and specifically the 7-county region, is the ancestral homeland of the Dakota Oyate, who are present and active contributors to our thriving region. As a part of the Metropolitan Council's commitment to address the unresolved legacy in genocide, dispossession, and settlers' colonialism, and the fact that the government institutions, including the Metropolitan Council, benefited economically, politically, and institutionally after the forcible removal of the Dakota Oyate, the Metropolitan Council is dedicated to instilling land, water, and people commitments in regional policy. These commitments support Dakota Oyate, the 11 federally recognized tribes in Minnesota, Ho-Chunk Nation, and the American Indians communities, representing over 150 diverse tribal nations that call the 7-county region home. And I'll go ahead and complete that acknowledgement and give it back to you, Councilmember Pacheco. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And this is something that we do read at each of our council members. It's an optional one for advisory boards, but it's given our subject, I think it's very important that we participate in this as well. So thank you, Tori. And now, we just want to set a warm welcome to all the committee members. We do have, again, members that watch and may not be able to make the meeting, but also give us feedback after the meeting here. The meetings last till about from 6 to 8. We do have a time now, actually, where if there's people from the public have submitted anything in writing or to anything that to our team here, please let us know. But at this point, I don't have a request in front of me that would ask to be acknowledged. And we do provide up to 3 minutes for anybody from the public to come in and make comments to us. So with that, at this point too, then what we need to do is establish our quorum so we can conduct business all the way through. And so Tori or Lila, who I'm not sure which one are reading.
I'll go ahead and call for quorum at the moment. If you are here present, whatever you say, here, yes, or if you're not here, don't say anything. I'm sorry, I just had to put that joke in there. I'll only call first names this time so we can go faster. So Zachariah. I know you're here, I see you. Councilmember Toni Carter.
Here, and video not working.
Sorry about that. Councilmember Dr. Tyron Carter.
Here.
Carmian Foster. Mitchell Hansen. Samira Issa.
Here.
Oh, Michael Lucini. I'm still saying last names as a habit. I apologize.
Here.
Councilmember Yassin Ossman. Councilmember John
Are you guys
Pacheco.
able to hear me? Or is my mic not working?
Yep, we hear you.
Oh, okay.
Anita Urvina Davis.
Here.
Markia Knight.
Present.
Astrite Benedetto.
Here.
Did I say it right? Is it Benedetto or Dato?
Benedetto.
Benedetto. Okay, I'll get it better next time. All right, now I'll go ahead and give it back to you, Councilmember. At this time, we have established quorum, so yes.
We do have quorum. All right, that's always important. Moving on again, we need approval of the agenda. And this one, we don't have to take a formal vote, but if everyone's fine with the agenda as presented, we'll move on to the approving the minutes. So does anybody have any questions regarding the agenda? Seeing none, I'll move on to approval of the minutes. And the minutes were sent out. This is the minutes from the September 22nd second meeting. And so
September 16th meeting. I apologize if I got that wrong in the script.
one of them said September, the other said anyway. Seeing again, then the approval of the minutes from corrected September, what'd you say, 22nd?
September 16th, 2025
Okay.
agenda minutes.
All right. Is there any corrections or adjustments to the minutes that have been presented and distributed? Seeing none, I'll move to a motion to accept the approval of the minutes as presented. All in favor? Hello. Motion's been made by Dr. Carter, seconded by who else here? Seconded by Anita. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. With that, we're gonna move on to our subject of the evening, and so it's a good agenda item for us, especially because it's something we've been tracking and we expect to come before us at different times. Let me move here. So presenting will be HR recruiting and programmatic update. Cassandra Tabor, Chief HR Officer, HR Director. I'm reading this here. Just like to remind you that for the record, for presenters, please state your name and title of your presentation when you start. For attendees and committee members, please write down and hold all questions until the question answer period at the end. Do not use the chat function for questions. We will take them live comments as the floor opens. So with that, I want to thank you for making the presentation and introduce Cassandra Tabor for the presentation for today.
Thank you, Co-Chair Pacheco. I appreciate it. And thank you all for having me. I'm looking forward to this. I had a lot of support from Tori and Lila. I have been with the organization for 2 years as of last month. So I still feel like I'm attending things sometimes for the first time. So I know I had the opportunity about a year ago to come with Aaron, who leads our workforce development team on my team, and just listen to the programmatic update that he provided. And so I'm excited to come back to you. And Tori and Lila gave me some guidance. So as we do this annually, if you find there are other things you're looking for, or things that you'd like me to bring back on a more regular basis, I'm very happy to do that. So again, Cassandra Tabor, Chief Human Resources Officer. This is the HR recruiting and programmatic update. I thought I would start with something fun. Is my view okay on your side? Can you see a full screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. I thought I would start with something fun and show you some pictures of the work that my team has been out and doing. We take being out in the field with our employees really seriously. We find that this is a good way to participate in the culture building that the organization is doing, as well as retention, especially for our newer employees. And there's a picture in the center there with a bunch of the ladies from our team outside of one of our garages. They are our bus recruiters. And one of the things that they do is visit all of the different garages so that during the first year of an operator's experience, they're reconnecting with that person that originally got them connected with the council. And so it's been a really good way for us to build relationships. But you'll see our interns and pictures here on tours. You'll see our learning and organizational development team doing trainings across our divisions. We've got a couple of graduating classes showing up here as well, and a couple of trainings that happened. So just thought it's nice to put names with faces since you don't always get to see the teams that we're talking about. HR, this is something else that I wanted to make sure that for everyone who was on this presentation understood all the pieces of HR, because there's so much work that goes into all of these programs. So we have a talent management team, learning and organizational development. So they do all of the internal development with our staff members. We have 26,000 courses that employees can take, whether online or in person. We have our HR business partners, which is like your HR generalists, those that you usually think of probably in your workspace. We have a benefits team that's very small, but very mighty. We have 3 employees who serve 8,000 retirees and active employees, and we're headed into open enrollment next week. We have our labor relations team. They have 12 contracts that they work on, and we have a new leader on that team. Her name is Cassie. She came from Ramsey County, and she's working really hard to reset the culture when it comes to the work that we do with our unions. We have workforce development, which is Aaron, who came and visited you last year, and I'll give you some updates on the programs that his team runs. We have HR systems that does our IS backend work. And then we also have occupational health. Those are our nurses. Those are the ones who help our CDL drivers, making sure that they're maintaining everything they need to be eligible to drive. And they assist as well for anyone who is looking for ADA accommodations or has any other leave needs, especially as we go into the new year. And we have the Minnesota paid leave program that's rolling out. That's going to be a huge lift for them as we go into this year. So 2 groups that I wanted to highlight today, because it's a lot of their work that we'll be talking about. Workforce development, which has Aaron Koski. He's the senior manager. He came and spoke with you last year. He has a workforce lead and workforce coordinators. You can see he's got 2 vacancies. We're adding 2 additional headcount, supported by the council, which is fantastic, to do work with our intern program. And I'll talk more about that, but that is growing very quickly. And then we have a huge talent management team. And this is all of our staff that do recruiting for all of the positions across the council. You can see a lot of it is tied to our Metro Transit work and supporting the transit initiatives and the expectations with tax dollars and the build out that are happening. And then we have those who serve environmental services, CD, MTS, as well as regional administration. So we've got a very large team that's working to make sure that we've got positions filled and that we're doing a good job of representing the makeup of our community with our staff members. So one thing that I wanted to chat with you about, because this is a significant change for the organization since I came on board, we are now doing all of our recruitment under a unified recruitment strategy. So that unified recruitment strategy has 2 plans. We call them shorthand, the MERC URP and the MT URP. So MERC is our ES group, our environmental services, regional administration, community development, and MTS. So those are our dedicated folks that are working on that group. And our MTURP is our Metro Transit Unified Recruitment Plan. So they have 2 separate plans. We work directly with our general managers and our top leaders in each of those divisions. And it is their job to take all of the approved headcount for the year and prioritize the recruitment of that in alignment with the goals of the organization. So historically, what has happened in my department is if you had an employee and you were able to hire for that position, you would call talent management and you call and call and call until you got your position hired. And it was kind of whoever was loudest won, but not necessarily were we meeting the needs of the organization. So if we had a big IS initiative that needed to roll out in a given year, not necessarily were we prioritizing our IS hiring. So what this does is it takes all the leaders and ensures that we're looking at the goals that the council has set for the organization, and we're hiring against those priorities in a prioritized manner. So it's created a lot of efficiencies twice last year. It's the 2nd year that Transit has had a unified recruitment plan. We launched it with them last year. Twice last last year, once in the middle of the year and once in the end of the year, we had a clean sheet, which meant that we had caught up with all of the hiring needs that they had twice last year. So by the end of the year, everything that was on their budget to be hired that they had put forward to us was taken care of. This year, we launched it with the Merck group with the remaining teams, and they're working through kind of the growing pains of that right now, but it really allows us to track the effectiveness and efficiency of the way in which we're hiring. One of the things that I heard when I came on board was that it takes too long to get people through the hiring process. And so this is a big piece of building efficiencies behind that. Trying to see, there we go. They always update the presentation format every time I turn on Teams. So I wanted to start with recruitment and our bus operators, because this is a significant piece of the expectations for the organization for my team. Our bus operators, as Aaron talked about last year, 75% of our applicants who would like to be bus operators have no commercial driving experience and no credential when they come on board. So they have a knowledge test that they need to pass. And then if they don't have that credential, then we do what's called week 0. So it was our way of creating a program that allowed those who wanted to be drivers but didn't have the dollars to invest in CDL licensure on the back end, that we would provide that training and we would provide help with them for passing that test. From 2023 to current, 439 CLPs have been earned. Those who go through week 0 in our bus operator group, those are our highest retained individuals. So we've found it to be a big piece of having bus operators have careers with us and not give up when they're pushing through that first year and learning how to be an operator. With bus, we have a 91% success rate of those who come in without a CDL licensure and go through week 0 with us. And with our train operators, it's a 95% success rate. This year, Workforce Development had designed that program and had built it out for the last couple of years. This year, we've handed that over to Transit. Their team is taking it and moving it forward now that it's proven to be successful. Our operators, currently, we have 72% of our operators are people of color and 19.9% are women. We have some really significant initiatives that we're working on. So on the graph on your right there, the green acute angle that's at the bottom, that's the goal where we would like to be, where Transit would like us to be for number of operators. The orange solid line that's at the top is the number that we have brought into the organization to date. So that's the number we've recruited. And the solid green line is where we are from a retention standpoint. So we have some opportunities for retention, and it lets me know as well that we need to continue to be bringing in as many candidates as we can and helping them be successful with that CDL. So we're doing large marketing and referral campaigns that's coming out of Transit. Transit has expanded their training period that they do once they have their CDL and they go through training then on site. They've expanded the time frame with that. It's been very successful, and our attrition rate is trending down, which is great. We have additional bus dedicated recruiting staff that we added in 2024. It takes about 6 months to a year to be a really successful bus recruiter. And so we've got some who are still in that learning phase, but as you can see, we're doing really well with bringing a good candidate pool in. We have apprenticeship programming, which includes peer-to-peer mentoring that comes out of Transit. They also have an expanded peer support program that they've developed so that people are feeling connected with their colleagues as they're getting started. And then for talent management, we've also started a pilot for night and weekend interview events to see if that's something that better meets the needs of certain demographics, or if it better meets the needs for people from a volume standpoint of being able to interview folks at a time that works for them. So we've done weekends on and off over the history of the council, but this is a dedicated pilot that we have started, and we'll work through to the beginning of next year. We also have our bus technician apprenticeship. So we are on our third cohort with the bus technician apprenticeship. We have an external process and an internal process for this. So there's growth opportunities for folks internally, and then we also see candidates externally. From our external process, we had 150 plus enrollees, people who said, I'm interested in competing for this position. That first phase, 65% were people of color and 5% were female. As we moved into phase 2, we had 61% people of color and 5% female. We did 71 information sessions to help those candidates understand what the job was. 51 completed the assessment that's required. And then we had 15 that we invited into the pre-apprenticeship programming. With our internal recruitments, we had 120 enrollees, and our internal recruitment process aligns with the language in their CBA, so the contract that they have as a union member. And we invited 10 in to advance to the pre-apprenticeship program. So bus technicians and some of these technical positions, we're finding that the pool can be rather challenging. And so us being able to grow some of those internally while seeking an external pool has been good and allowed those who are here with us internally to continue to build a career at the organization, and then we're training them at our expense and to their benefit. We also have our Pathways program. This has been going on for a couple of years now. I just thought it was interesting from an alumni information, those who are still with us. So we have 75 alumni from the Pathway program that are currently employed at Transit. 49 of those 75 are people of color or females. We have 26 alumni who are internal that were still with us, and we have 49 alumni who came in from the outside. So we've done a really nice job of retaining, and people are finding a good career path once they're here. So it's an exciting program that we're really proud of. And then police, this is a huge conversation right now. We've got some really good things happening. We just launched a CSO pathway program. We're on cohort 5 right now, which sounds like this program's been around for a while, but it hasn't. We're able to do these cohorts back to back because the need is so high. We schedule information sessions, and we're welcoming people from the public to apply to be CSOs. And we're really aiming at demographics of folks who haven't been to school, maybe are interested in a police officer position at some point, but don't feel like they have access to get onto that path, and helping them into that process. We had an open house on November 5th, and our prep sessions for cohort 5 start on November 11th. Currently, we have now more CSOs than we have ever had in the history of Met Council. This is a really big deal because there are so few people comparatively who are opting to go into the policing field now. For example, in, I believe it was 2022, there were just over 600 graduates who are ready to become police officers in the entire state. And we have over 700 police departments in the state of Minnesota. So that's less than one per department, which means filling our police officer positions, which has been something we've struggled with historically, would be really challenging. So our way to help start to fix this is to grow our own internal pool by building this CSO program. So we're really excited about this. We're partnering really closely with Interim Chief Dotseth. They've been really happy with this, and he's got 2 staff members that he has dedicated now to assisting with this recruitment process and with this programming. We also run 2 police academies a year. We are now at 118 officers. That is a 5-year high. We have not had, we were at 117 in 2020. And so we're really excited about the direction that our officer hiring is going as well. We also are running a pilot this year where we have dedicated recruiters from my team who only do police recruiting support. And so far that's been really productive. So we're trying some new things based on what we used to do and finding some really good successes. And then we've got a big upcoming marketing campaign that's coming out of Transit as well. We also have the 30 and 30 campaign that's coming out of transit, and the goal is to have 30% of a police force be female by 2030. So it's a initiative that a lot of police departments are working towards, and you'll see in the marketing campaigns that it's fairly obvious that we're looking really hard to try to build up the number of females on our police force. And then another big one that's brand new, but I think some of you have heard about in other committees, we have an IS network tech training program. Information services, IT, is extremely challenging right now. The market is very tight, it's extremely competitive, and we're finding it very challenging to fill our positions. And so again, similar to CSOs, we're looking to figure out how can we build our own pool of those people who can take those next roles or who can come in to the organization. So we presented this opportunity to Summit students that are in the IT specialist program. So we had people we knew were already interested in IT. We've partnered with Summit in the past, is my understanding. I wasn't here for that. That was before my tenure. So we re-engaged that partnership. And then we just kicked off a curriculum development work with Hennepin Technical College. So those IT specialist program students will then move into Hennepin Technical College. We will support them, their schooling costs financially through Hennepin Technical College. The prep sessions start November 10th, and we'll do interviews December 15th. So even though we went and brought them that information and they're all IT specialist students, does not mean all of them will be eligible to move forward, but we have a nice pool of students that we'll be working with. So we're excited about that. Our IS, Gretchen, who is our CIO, she's very excited about the ability to build some of her own pool of people who will then hopefully move forward and work with the council. And then another really big lift that started this year as well. We've always had internship programming. We've had a couple of different types of internship programming. It's been successful, but one of the things with the internship programming that came out of human resources, we launched it based on a need a couple of years back, but like many things, due to capacity, as it grew, we really didn't have the ability to fine tune the programming while running it. And so last year, we had a limited number of interns while we rebuilt and refreshed this program. So right now we have some extended interns that are currently participating in our new programming, but our interns for 2026, we've already started that process. So far we've had 44 interns requested to date for 35 different positions. So some of them are coming in for similar positions. And what's really different about the programming is it used to be that we would do interns essentially for summer, which is kind of your traditional time that you think about interns, but we really have the opportunity to host interns and to benefit from interns, and from interns to benefit from their experience and get to know the council as a potential employer year round. And we were hearing from the divisions that they needed more flexibility. They needed the ability for interns to come in throughout the year. And so our first wave of interns will be posted for this week, and then we'll be doing 3 more waves between now and the first of the year. And again, that's to align with what the divisional needs are. So my staff is working very closely with all of the different divisions and departments to understand what their specific needs are, so the way in which we recruit the candidates that we're getting are better aligned for the positions that we're trying to fill. And then we had a really big success with MTS and TransDev. TransDev is one of our contract service providers that work under MTS. They were really struggling with having mechanics, just like we are, to fix buses and do those kinds of things. And so they reached out to us to see if there was a way for us to help support that. And supporting TransDev helps ensure that we have everything we need to run our MTS programs, because if they're staff members and they can't fill their positions, then we can't run our MTS program in the way we need to. So we worked closely with them. We designed an internship program and an apprenticeship program for TransDev, and they have 3 interns that are on the job and in school. And we just got a call the other day saying how great they were doing. And these are potential candidates for us in the future too. Right now they're working for TransDev, but if they're looking for growth opportunities later on, then we hope they'll find the council too, as we're supporting their growth. And then I wanted to take a moment to, because I know that historically there was a piece of the dashboard as well that we typically went over in these presentations, and Tori and Lila were so gracious to guide me through that. So I wanted to give you an overview. I did put a screenshot on here. I know that most of the council members have had an opportunity to be trained in accessing the dashboard. This is available to you at any time. But if there are specific questions or specific pieces of information you're looking for that I don't present tonight, I'm more than happy to provide that for you as well. So I wanted to start with just talking about our head count. So right now we have about 4,700 employees across all divisions. Year over year, so 24 to 25, or since the beginning of this year, that's been about a 7.75% growth, which is a nice growth. I think most importantly, though, is the 2024 year saw almost an 18% growth. So overall, we've had since 2014 an 18.94% growth, but in the last 2 years, we've had just over 17% of that 18%. So we have a very large growth that's happening, and a lot of it has to do with our operators, and then making sure that all of the divisions that support transit are growing at a rate that allows them to make sure that they can provide services so that transit can hit the numbers that they're accountable for to the council. Individuals with disabilities, and I will just highlight for those of you who may not be familiar, it's voluntary for folks to disclose that they have a disability when they're applying. So this is all self-voluntary reporting. This graph shows you from our dashboard that we look to compare ourselves against our community to see how do we reflect against what our community looks like. So in the Twin Cities region, about 5.5% of the population identify as a person who has a disability. The council either meets or exceeds that in all of our divisions except MT. I would highlight that there are significant requirements for bus operators when it comes to mobility and able-bodiedness. We do everything we can to meet the needs of everyone with ADA accommodations where it's possible, but you'll see in MT that's a more challenging place to hire those who have specific limitations. But across the board, we're doing well against the Twin Cities area. Our ethnic distribution, and this is all of our employees on the dashboard. We can break it down by division and we can break it down by position as well, and you have access to that. The gray shows you what our Twin Cities region looks like. So for example, 75% of the Twin Cities region is white. And here at the council, about 29.3% of our staff are white. In the Twin Cities area, 8.4% of folks are Black, and our employee representation there is 56.3%. So we are consistently across the board exceeding the norms for our people of color when it comes to representing our community specifically against the Twin Cities area. So that's something that we continue to work at, and that's something that Human Resources and OEO partner together on. So we'll continue forward and putting focus on that as two teams together. And then gender, this has been pretty steady overall this year. And honestly, if we look back to when we started collecting data on this dashboard in 2014, it's been fairly steady since 2014. We've had a slight uptick in our more females in our roles since COVID, but also we're bouncing back from COVID and losing quite a few of employees. So it'll be interesting to see in the next couple of years what that looks like. I don't know that I would suggest that that means we're having a huge increase in women in our positions, but it is a small uptick since COVID. And then retirements. So I think this is really interesting. Our highest population is 55, or our highest population of 55 plus, which is where I start thinking people are considering retirement typically, are in ES and CD, or in ES, I'm sorry, and CD has the most employees that are farthest from the retirement age. So our CD team right now tends to be on the younger side, and our ES team, a lot of them have been with us a long time and are getting closer to retirement. I would say as we look at these numbers too, our younger generations now tend to move between organizations, especially if they can't find growth opportunities, about every 2.5 years, which is significantly different than many of our previous generations. But as we look at this too, one of the things that I found positive is, as you can see, if we go back, this goes back to 2014 when we started collecting data, you can see that our split amongst the generations where it was pretty disproportionate. And as we've moved through the years, we've been able to level that a bit more where we have some equity in numbers between our generations. And I think this is something that's important as we look at succession planning and making sure that as people are retiring, that we're not losing the knowledge that's necessary as well. Succession planning is not something that we as an organization have done well historically because we grew really quickly, but it's something that's on our radar in HR as we continue to move forward and make our strategic plans each year, continue to support succession planning work so that we are thinking ahead as we look to have our retirees moving forward and others moving into that category. And then attrition, you can see that we are at our lowest attrition since COVID. So we had a big drop during COVID, which we're all aware of. We had a nice spike, people coming back within the organization. But with that, we had a lot of turnover as people were coming into new positions. But our attrition has gone down pretty consistently overall, not huge, but it's something that all of the divisions are working on, whether it's our bus operators, trying to find ways for them to be successful in that first year. We know that if they make it through the first year, that they tend to stay long term, or whether it's the culture work that's being done across the divisions to make this an employer of choice here with the council. This is graphed since 2014. That's the only option for attrition. But again, these can be broken down smaller if that's something that you're interested in a future date too. So that's what I have for you. And I'm happy to stand for any questions.
I don't see anyone raising their hands here, but I'm not managing that part of it, but you have somebody here. Let me see.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a place online we can find like the hard numbers for the data in that last slide that you showed, or is that something we would have to request from you directly?
Well, you can access this through the dashboard directly yourself. But if you run into any issues accessing it, just let me know and I'll make sure that one of my staff members can help you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Councilmember Pacheco, Councilmember Toni Carter has her hand up.
Okay.
Hi. Thank you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
My screen is not working, but I just wanted to applaud so much of what you have shared with us tonight. The perspective is that we're doing a lot better in so many categories and really working to meet our goals. I know there's a lot yet to be done, but I really do have to applaud so much of what has been shared. I also just had a couple of specific questions about the work that you are doing in recruitment. I know that you're conducting a number of information sessions across areas, and particularly to help Metro Transit to staff up. I am wondering if, in addition to working with schools on training programs such as you indicated, if we are also working with our partners in the community and even in high schools to make certain that people are as aware as possible of the work that we're doing and of the opportunities that we have, even with an eye toward the future. I know the priority is to get people in and to get them hired and in jobs or working through the pathways programs and various training programs that we have. But are we also working to ensure that some of our young people are looking at Metro Transit by partnering with our schools and, across the population by partnering also with community organizations. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Council Member. Yes. So we have some very well established faith community groups that we work with. We have some really well established culture community groups that we work with. And we work to take our employees who are connected to those groups, and they come with us voluntarily, and they speak to the group, they share about the work that they're doing, they talk about the jobs that are out there. So yes, that's very well developed. My understanding is the organization years ago, maybe even a decade or so ago, did some work with high schools. Programming didn't go super well. They weren't very satisfied with it, but I had really good luck with it in a previous life. And so when I came on board and started working with Aaron, who leads my workforce development business unit, he was saying, "God, I really wish we could build kind of a high school pipeline." And I said, "Let's do it. Let's work with transit. Let's talk to some of our other leaders. Let's figure out where opportunities are. We'll work with OGC to make sure that we're doing the right things with our young people." But exactly like you're talking about, make them aware of the positions that we have, what type of work we do, so that they know those jobs are an option for them. And then we're in the process now of developing a high school internship program too. So for those who want to go straight into the workforce versus maybe going into school or straight into one of our other pathways or apprenticeship programs, that will create some pathways for them there. And then one of the pictures on the front was of Thomas. He is the lead for our workforce development, and he had a group of young kiddos come in. We were calling them Thomas's Tots on the backside, but he had a young group come in just to talk to them. They came and visited. They got to see some of our locations. They got to hear about the type of work. And that's something that I came from in a past life as well, where I was out in the schools talking to young people about the type of work that I did and got them thinking about those jobs. Because I think a lot of us, when we go to school, you hear teacher, doctor, nurse, you don't hear all the other options. And so just making people more aware of that. But we're really excited about the high school program that we're starting to build, but definitely continuing to build those faith and culture community relationships too.
Also, if I can, I just wanted to mention how impressive it is also to see your week 1 retention with Metro Transit. And I just wanted to ask about that week 1. I understood it as CDL training and test prep, but you talked about the difference between the percentage of those who were there for CDL training and test prep who had no CDL or experience in driving. And then there were the others that attend. Are those experienced drivers or drivers with CDL who still are invited into week 0?
Question. So week 0 is only for those who do not have a CDL. And then week 1 are those who have their CDL but need some additional pieces and training. So our week 0 is where our biggest success is. And not only are we teaching the content of the CDL test, but then we're also actually taking them to the test. We're transporting them to the test to make sure that they're able to do it, and they officially get 2 tries. So if they don't get it the first time, then they're able to come back, do some additional programming with us. They do have the option to take our week 1 materials and do it on their own. And we have some who do that, and the success rate on that is very similar to anyone else who walks in off the street. It's nowhere near as high.
Thanks for clarifying that for me. I really appreciate it. And last but not least, I just want to comment that I hear you on the data about how well we are doing in so many of these categories, like our internship program, our POC representation, women and all of that. And I just want to make certain that we are also focusing on that uptake in and across all our divisions to make certain that not one division is carrying the lion's share, but that all have opportunities and are engaging with us around those opportunities for these various, internships or training and POC representation, women, all of that we're doing our very best across the fields. I realize there are certain ways that can be interpreted in Metro Transit, for example, where physical agility is important. We want to make certain that we're reflecting all of the opportunities and ensuring we're doing well across the board. So thank you for that focus.
Absolutely.
Somewhat on that same line, and actually just to previous comments regarding where you're recruiting and all. I'm president of the Latino Chamber of Commerce, and we've just are reassessing what we're doing in workforce. We've received some funding for DEED to do that, and so we were looking at what other people were doing as far as recruiting or job postings. And the Minnesota Council of Nonprofits has a good site. Obviously, people go to Indeed and these other ones. We would like to have, government post their jobs with us. We're expanding our area in that area. But one of the things we're adding is that for looking to add more people looking for Spanish speakers. And so there'll be a separate kind of line of skill set, basically. And where we get there is tellers, people in healthcare, people, coming to us. So we're going to be doing some more directing in that area and at a younger age as well. Some of the interns, and we have we are kind of maybe sometimes overrepresented, but represented in the trades more, or in construction. And so we're working with Summit as well as you guys. And so. Yeah, I've worked with those folks in a number of ways in the past. So, anyway, so if you could just send them our way, I'll tap your shoulder down the line here, and when the site is getting fully vetted and put together. But we'll be doing a lot more recruitment on that, especially two things. One is around the Spanish speakers. The other one's around the small business. And so they do a lot of the hiring. So that'll be great to have that kind of network.
I appreciate that. And we work really closely with our hiring managers. But the other thing that we've built up and will continue to build up is really the list of places that we're putting jobs. We've really expanded that over the last 2 years, as well as making sure that we have capacity for job fairs. That was something where when HR was understaffed, we just didn't have the ability to show up in spaces where people were coming in real time for job opportunities. And so we're redirecting efforts there too.
I think there was somebody else. Is it Michael? Is you? I just saw it. I thought it.
Councilmember Pacheco, there's a comment in the chat.
Okay.
Michael, can you just turn your mic on and ask the question?
Give me 1 second here. Can you hear me?
Hmm?
Yes.
Yes, I just wanted to know where, how can people apply for the position? There are 3 vacant positions according to the slides that are open in the workforce development area.
Oh,
How do people apply? Is there a link? Because I want to send
yes.
someone a link directly versus them going on a website and trying to figure things out and not able to.
Sure. So I can send those to you directly. Yes, that's not a problem. Yeah.
All right.
Lila and Tori, if you'll just help connect me on the backside, that would be perfect. And then I will get those to you.
Thank
Absolutely,
you.
we'd be happy to.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? I guess.
Councilmember Carter.
Tyron? Yep.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't got my hand raised up twice. I don't know why. But I just want to say kudos on the program. It seems like a really dynamic program. As a person that's worked in human resources over 20-some years, I see that you guys are doing a bang-up job, and I just want to give you a high five for that. My question is, this time in terms of people, a lot of organizations are struggling to recruit new individuals. And so how do you guys stack up against some of the organizations in the Twin Cities area in terms of your ability to meet that need.
Yeah, even just to clarify, are you asking how we stack up against being able to build a candidate pool?
Yeah, like your in terms of like your vacancies versus how long do the vacancies remain open? How quickly are you able to fill those positions? What's your turnover rate? Kind of like that.
Yeah, that's a great question. And so that is another huge area of opportunity for us as an organization. So when I came on board 2 years ago, I discovered that the way that we are entering data into our recruitment system does not allow us to pull that information out accurately. So the dashboard data with demographics is correct, but what we didn't have was our actual story about timeline for recruiting. And so last year for our 2024 strategic plan, which was my first year, we rebuilt the system and we tested the system. And now as we've been moving through 2025, in the first half of 2025, we tested the system. And so the second half of 2025, we've been entering data in this new format so that as we go into 2026 and years forward, we will be able to accurately report on what the timeline is for us to move through recruitments. Our goal is 12 weeks or less, which is, as you know, fairly standard in the HR industry. With that being said, we don't know the facts around what our timelines are. Since we started the Unified Recruitment Plan, if anyone in any step is not moving effectively and efficiently as designed within that 12-week program, they run the risk of either getting a warning as the person doing the recruiting or having their position pulled and us moving on to someone else. So if our hiring managers are not ready to move forward with positions, we are not spending months and months waiting for people to get their pieces pulled together. And so the Unified Recruitment Plan has helped us really be aware of where some of those gaps are. Our biggest gaps are SME reviews, so subject matter experts. Ideally, we like that to take 2 weeks. We have situations where we're chasing folks 6-7 weeks to get those things done. And then scheduling interviews. And a lot of that has to do with capacity of those staff members who are doing the interviews in the divisions. So we've been working closely with our division leaders to help figure that out. So I do know that we are more efficient and effective because we're cleaning the sheet. We're able to get people hired as they're coming on. But I do not know the facts around what our actual timeline story is. But I will know more when I see you next year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Toni, Councilmember Carter, your hand is up. I don't know if that's from before.
It is. I'm sorry.
That's okay. All right. Well, it appears that we have no other questions here, and this has been a very good presentation. I learned a lot, and I'll be following up with you myself. But these are the kind of things that should come before the Equity Advisory Committee, because we get asked those kind of questions of hiring and or even asking, as the other gentleman, how do I reach somebody and what we do, and I get that as well. And so I really appreciate the work that you all are doing, and it's reflected out there in the community as well. With that,
I was going to add something.
Yes,
I apologize for interrupting you. I did share with Lila and Tori a hard copy handout of all of this, the actual data coming directly out of the dashboard. So they'll provide that to you if you would like that too. And then if you would like for me to come more often, I'm happy to do that. If you'll just let me know what you'd like to see updates on and when you'd like to see me, I'm more than happy to come more than annually if that's helpful for this group too.
It is, but and I'm just on that note, to my fellow council members and others here, is that earlier in the year, or maybe in the last year, we were looking at how do we bring people in, and so lately we've been having more people ask us, when can I come? And I think that's indicative of the outreach we've been doing, and Lila and Tori's efforts to get subjects and people engaged. So we'll take you up on that offer as we go through next year. Again, so with seeing none, is there any other, actually I have a note here for announcements. And that could be from council members or anybody else who has announcements. We do have some time to do that. So if there's, oh, here we go. Anybody else has an announcement to make? You can raise your hand and seeing none. All right.
I did have a
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
I did have a question in regards, I was looking at the updates and, well, you know, I mean, they spelled my name wrong, but that's okay. That's happened before. But, if I look under here, it says that, I'm on management. Are these recent changes that have happened, or is this just supposed to be an accounting of where we are? It says, besides my name, it has community development and management. Just a note, you know, someone could check on it, but as far as I know, I'm not on community development and management. If you look under the updates. That's okay. I just wanted to mention.
You're talking about the agenda.
Yeah, if you look on the agenda, and I realize when you're putting something like this together, everybody's in a hurry, right? So no big deal. I just wanted to bring it up.
Councilmember Carter, are you talking about the EAC agenda, or is that what you're looking at?
Advisory Committee meeting agenda. It says you have under updates, you have first you have John, Councilmember Pacheco, and he's listed, it says management transportation, number 1. And then in number 2, you have me, you have listed, and then it says community development and management.
Yeah, we can correct that. Myself, I'm also
that's like a minor tick.
Yeah.
I'm not even worried about that.
Yes,
no
that
problem.
we can absolutely get that corrected. That's an
For
error.
sure.
Yeah.
If you can just send me an email of the committees you belong to, that you
I'll
would like
do
to
that.
put there, just for the correction.
Yeah, I just thought maybe you guys do something I didn't, so I wanted to.
No, sorry about that. I think what
That's all
happened was we had another council member there, and when they do the agenda, they have to correct it on the communication side. So they do all of our agendas and everything with communication. So what we have to do is we have to let them know that we have a new council member on the committee, which they should know who is on the committee, but sometimes they kind of get wrapped up in some things. So we'll just go to communications and get your right committees put on there. No problem.
That's great.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
We will reach out offline.
All right, with that, any other questions, challenges, changes?
Okay, there we are.
Well, then we have some time off this evening, and I want to thank you all for coming, and this has been a great presentation and some really good information shared. If any other questions that come to you later, and when you get the package of materials, just let us know, and we can route that around to make sure other people could take advantage of your questions as well. Seeing none, I call this meeting over, and we'll see you again next month.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.